My fellow Americans.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most awful celebrity impressions viewers were forced to endure on Saturday Night Live.
What do you want, LaToya? I'm almost out of money.
Number 10, Anderson Cooper by Jon Rudnitsky. In only his third episode on the show, newcomer Jon Rudnitsky was tapped to play news anchor Anderson Cooper in a spoof of the 2016 Democratic debate.
I'm your moderator, Anderson Cooper, and I hope I do you proud tonight, Kathy Griffin.
While other performers in the sketch nailed their impressions, Rudnitsky's attempts missed the mark. Rather than playing up Cooper's typically calm and straightforward style, Rudnitsky leaned heavily into a stereotypical gay voice and lost the essence of the anchor entirely.
Okay, let's get started. This first question is for everyone.
Even Cooper himself chimed in on Watch What Happens Live, calling the performance a huge miss. Honestly, if he hadn't worn a silver wig and called out his own name, we'd have guessed he was playing anyone but Anderson Cooper.
Secretary Clinton, do you want to respond?
Number 9, Michael Bloomberg by Fred Armisen. Throughout his 11-year tenure on Saturday Night Live, Fred Armisen racked up praise for his range of quirky characters. But when it came to impressions, he wasn't exactly the most reliable performer, as they often slid into the unfortunate trap of being one note.
Hello, I'm Michael Bloomberg. 2 weeks ago tomorrow, on December 26th, New York City was hit by what will be forever called the Great Blizzard of 2010.
Nothing exemplifies this more than his portrayal of former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg in this 2013 cold open.
Above all, we have questions. Where does snow come from? Is it dangerous? Will the snow stay forever?
While the material itself has its moments, Armisen's whiny, monotonous delivery feels a lot more subdued than the real Bloomberg and does little to elevate the lines he's reading.
Now, the big question. What are we doing about removing the snow? Tonight, I am pleased to report that even as we speak, thousands of city sanitation workers are out in the plows.
Does it still get a chuckle? Perhaps. But is it among the best work we've seen from Armisen? Not even close.
At some point, we will overcome this crisis. However long it takes, however much it costs, I promise you, we will clear New York City of snow. And then, God willing, we can start on Queens.
Number 8, Pete Davidson by Rami Malek. Pete Davidson and Rami Malek share a passing resemblance. So naturally, Davidson has played Malek a few times on SNL.
Hey man, you know computers?
Yeah, who are you?
When the Oscar winner hosted the show in 2021, he returned the favor in a sketch where Davidson also played him.
And finally, from SNL, Pete Davidson. What up? What up? Yo,
do I have to sit next to Rami Malek? I mean, his eyes are freaking me out. Dude, stop staring at me, man.
Seated side by side, they both seem lost in their impressions of each other. Malek amps up Davidson's tendency to launch into rants, but no matter how many times he throws in the word dude, we still wouldn't be convinced that this is any good.
Please, make him stop. It's like the soul of a Victorian child is trapped in his eyes.
Next to a near lifeless Davidson, Malek's impression may initially come across as bearable, but it fails to capture his subject's signature giddiness. Overall, a well-meaning attempt, but a fail nonetheless.
How would I know that? I mean, I went to school in Staten Island, and all of our classes were to prepare us to be like firefighters or racist cops.
Number 7, Prince William by Andy Samberg. SNL has struggled to nail down a solid parody of the royal princes, a dilemma that dates back to at least 2010.
And of course you remember my girlfriend, Catherine.
It is a pleasure to see you again, Your Majesties.
In this sketch, Andy Samberg plays Prince William, introducing his then-fiancée, Kate Middleton, to his parents. Samberg isn't exactly the first name that springs to mind when you think of great impressions, and this sketch perfectly highlights why.
Beg your pardon, Prince William. Telephone call for you.
Ah, well, I'll only be a moment. Do chat until I return.
His attempt at a British accent is so laughably atrocious that it's no surprise he keeps bolting out of the room.
Oh, Kate. Grandmama has never taken to anyone like this. What joy! I'll be back!
Clearly, the writers were working overtime to minimize the pain of that impression on the audience. The problem was still glaring in 2018, with Mikey Day's bizarre take on Prince Harry.
Give him a wet willy?
Yes, in England it's called a moist Matthew.
Number 6, Keanu Reeves, by Tobey Maguire. There's a lot to love about the Celebrity Jeopardy sketches, especially the iconic rivalry between Alex Trebek and Sean Connery.
Do you kiss your mother with that mouth?
No, but I did something to your mother with this mouth.
Okay.
But this particular installment gave us something to shake our heads about. Precisely, Tobey Maguire's impression of Keanu Reeves.
I know Kung Fu.
Released during the peak of the Matrix craze, this was more of a portrayal of Neo than it was of Reeves, with a dash of Ted from the Bill and Ted franchise thrown in for good measure.
I shall take balloons for 800 if you please.
That's not a category.
But even as a mashup of those legendary characters, it still missed the mark. We'll take impressions that should never grace our screens again for $200, Alex.
Let's see what you wagered. $11 billion. That's not even a real number.
Yet.
Number 5, Janet Reno, by Will Ferrell. Okay, this one might be a bit controversial. Will Ferrell is, without a doubt, one of the most unforgettable cast members in SNL history, boasting a remarkable list of impressions. But his portrayal of former Attorney General Janet Reno doesn't quite make the cut.
Hi, I'm Janet Reno. Welcome to Janet Reno's dance party, coming to you live from my basement.
While some fans appreciated the absurdity, it came off more as a cruel caricature, sacrificing accuracy for whatever whim struck Ferrell in the moment.
Shut it, everyone shut up.
Reno initially wasn't a fan of the impression, but she eventually made peace with it, even sharing the screen with Ferrell in a 2001 episode. Unlike the Attorney General, though, we're not ready to forgive this misguided attempt and sentence it to a lifetime of oblivion.
Oh, Janet, I can't believe I have to say goodbye. What do you do when you get sad?
I just dance. Now hit it!
Number 4, Michael Jackson, by Amy Poehler. We all know Amy Poehler for her spot-on impressions of figures like Hillary Clinton and Martha Stewart. But if you were expecting her to bring that same finesse to her take on Michael Jackson, you were sorely mistaken.
It's just the flu, Liz Taylor. I'll be back on my feet soon.
Poehler's impersonation of the King of Pop left a lot to be desired. It was neither accurate nor particularly funny.
Don't be silly, Liz. I have lots of friends. Oh, I bet that's one of my friends now.
She leaned into the media's long-standing tendency to infantilize Jackson by portraying him as a lonely, needy child. But the act gets tiring fairly quickly.
What do you mean, Liz? We were just holding hands.
Fortunately, this was one impression that didn't thrill audiences for too long before it was asked to beat it off our screens.
Wait, Liz, don't go. I'll tell the truth. I'll tell the whole world what they want to hear.
Number 3, Andrew Cuomo, by Pete Davidson. Watching a Pete Davidson impression often feels like watching the comedian play himself, just in a different costume. His portrayal of former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo was no exception.
Governor, do you know why you're here today?
Is it because indoor dining is back in New York?
In 2021, while the real-life Cuomo was being hammered by multiple controversies that ultimately led to his resignation, he was also being botched by Davidson on SNL.
And what happened with the nursing homes?
Some of the people who died in the nursing homes were not counted as nursing home deaths. They were counted as hospital deaths, which is basically what happens at Disney World, okay?
His first appearance as Cuomo came in the Britney Spears talk show sketch, but even by the following week's vaccine game show sketch, the impression had yet to evolve.
Remember when your favorite movie was my PowerPoints? Remember? Today is Tuesday.
To his credit, Davidson remained in character without breaking, but when it's the same slouched-over performance he brings to most characters, it's hard not to want a bit more variety.
But if you do feel sick, Make sure you leave the nursing home and get to the hospital. Wink.
Number 2, Julia Child by Dan Aykroyd. We're certainly not against men playing women on SNL, but there should at least be some semblance of accuracy.
Welcome. I'm Julia Child. Today we're going to make a holiday feast.
In this classic sketch, Dan Aykroyd's impression of Julia Child completely missed that mark.
And first, remove the giblets, and you really should save the giblets. They make a fine stock for soup, or you can save the liver and fry it up with some onions for a little snack.
Aykroyd turned the renowned French chef to nothing more than a clumsy cartoon, complete with a high-pitched voice that sounded more like Mickey Mouse than anything else.
Now I've done it. I've cut the dickens out of my finger.
But hey, it was at least funny. We'll give him that. Apparently, even the real Child thought so too. She was reported to have enjoyed it so much, she kept a taped copy at home and often played it for her guests.
Oh, this phone is a prop. It doesn't work.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, Gerald Ford by Chevy Chase. This impression was incredibly awful, and it seems that was by design.
I have called upon the networks tonight to make 2 pressing issues clear to the American public.
In the early seasons of SNL, Chevy Chase played Gerald Ford, but made no attempt to mimic his voice or mannerisms. The show leaned into the joke, as they refused to even put Chase in makeup to resemble Ford. At one point, they displayed on-screen text blatantly stating that it was a bad impression. Instead, Chase played Ford like any of his other characters, merely exaggerating his well-known clumsiness.
As president, I will change my mind wherever I want. Hello, hotline.
Surprisingly, the president actually liked the portrayal and became friends with Chase years after he left office. Indeed, this was one impression that was so bad, it ended up being great.
Now, as we can see, the Ford popularity is certainly on a sharp rise here. Whereas the...
What was the worst impression you've seen on SNL? Let us know in the comments.
And now for my second announcement.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.